Mark's Motivational Podcast, another Authors Tuesday. I'm delighted to be joined by another great author on the podcast today, Micheal Harrison. Micheal is a children's author, and he's also an illustrator as well. So his work looks really good. He sent me a really good bio about all his information. I'm going to put on the show notes. So I'm so excited to welcome Micheal on the podcast today. Thanks a lot for joining me.
Well, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Mark. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, great stuff. So we might just start the podcast off, if you wouldn't mind telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and your
Mhm.
journey as a writer, please, would be great. Place to start.
Okay. So, as you heard, my name is Micheal Harrison, and originally from the UK. Um, but for the last 30 years, we live in Southern California. And I was just telling Mark that it's very bright and very sunny here this afternoon. And for those 30 years or so that we've been here, I've been a professional artist for most of the time, uh, oil paints and exhibiting in the summer festivals and the Laguna Beach area here. And I've been in galleries, and I had a gallery myself. But I was late coming to the game of being an author. My first book I published when I was 68, and that was Teenage Millionaire.
Wow.
And then I followed that with a couple of other books, which are two, and we'll talk about these perhaps in a moment, R2 too. So yes, I'm happy to be here and looking forward to chatting with you all.
Great stuff. Yeah, that's great. And your books look amazing. As I said, they look really good. And your grandson is in one of them books as well. Like you mentioned that on the bio you sent me.
Yes. Well, the first book I did was Teenage Millionaire, and this one is basically about a British boy called James, and he's a bit of a nerd, a bit of a nerdy guy, and but he's got these ideas of being rich and famous. He doesn't want to dig the other guy's ditches. He wants to own the field, and so he thinks he's really smart. He picks up an old marketing book and has all the buzzwords in his head. But really, the book is a comedy. It's very funny, and him and his friend formed this company to put all these ideas into practice, where he thinks he's going to become a millionaire. But then he invites Emma, this new girl, and she's going to join his company. And that's when he realizes that girls are actually something to get interested in. And this kind of becomes a love story where he meets his first girlfriend. And then I move on halfway through the book until when he's in university. I move 4 years on, and he does an internship with, he thinks it's going to be a big corporation. It turns out it's a one-man band private detective. So it's comedy and it's fun. And Mark, you mentioned my grandson has been the inspiration for R2. My grandson was living in New York, Manhattan in New York, and we used to travel up there 5 or 6 times a year to be with our daughter and our grandson. And I used to take him to school. And to get to school, we had to take the train, the subway or the tube or the underground. And we used to get on at 8th Street Station. And I had to get him to school early, so we got to the station early. And we waiting for the train, we'd look at the tracks, looking to see the rats scurrying through the lines. And that gave me the idea of a book which featured a rat living in 8th Street subway station, New York. And I featured my grandson, who was 8 at the time, called him CJ, as the main character. And the two of them together team up to really do good. You know, it's all about being helpful and kind and doing good deeds. And in R2, the first book, they find out that some kids in his school are undernourished and from an impoverished background. So they put a plan together to help those kids. And then the second part is they deal with bullying at the school. Bullying is a topic. I mean, here I am, I'm in my 70s, but I still remember being bullied at grammar school in England by this kid. And so it's a horrible thing to happen to kids. And I wanted to feature that. So R2 and CJ tackle the bullying and put an end to the bullying at the school. R2 is a very, very smart, intelligent rat, and how he became so smart and intelligent and can talk is all explained in the book. I won't give that away, but it's an interesting way of explaining how he became so smart. And my grandson, he loved the book so much. What I suppose the highlight of it all was, and I didn't know this was happening, but at his school, the teacher asked the kids, bring in your 5 favorite books. And of course, without me knowing it, Christopher, my grandson, he picked all his books. And of course, famous bestsellers like Captain Underpants and all of these books. But he also included R2. So I have this wonderful photo of him on the desk with his 5 books that he really loves, and there was R2. So it kind of melted my heart. And that led me, I suppose, the motivation to develop another one, R2-2. And I think Mark mentioned about the illustrations. The drawings I did myself, designed the front covers myself. So if you look, and I thought you might be interested to see, there's the actual drawing of R2 coming out of the McDonald's burger box. And there it is featured in the book, you see.
Yeah.
And then I did black and white drawings. And then there's the one of him coming out of the backpack, which is how we got a ride to CJ's apartment. There's R2 sneaking outside of the backpack. So that's the drawing, and I just put them into the book. So I did that. Yeah, so then in R2-2, R2 the rat and CJ team up again to help. And this time R2 finds on the 8th Street subway station, he sees this homeless guy sitting there. And it turns out he's a homeless vet who's got post-traumatic stress disorder, and so they want to look after him, and that leads them to develop a plan which really helps the homeless in New York. So it's an interesting story. That's R2-2. Okay.
Yeah, your books are amazing. I love the artwork as well. And
Well, thank you.
So it's the 3 books you have out at the moment, is it?
That's it. I've
Yeah.
done 3 books so far. Yes, I may do a R2-3. I'm busy trying to work out what's the good thing that R2 and CJ can do this time around. If any of your listeners have any ideas, let me know, because we've covered bullying, we've covered helping impoverished kids, and I've covered helping the homeless. I need one more idea, but I'm working on it.
Right. And have you self-published these books, or have you got a publisher?
I have self-published these books. Everything you see, I did. So I have spent absolutely nothing on these books. Right. If you're an author, if you've got some ideas, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I published them myself through Amazon, and the promotion has really been word of mouth. I have got involved with, actually, if you go on Facebook, I found all these groups of rat lovers. They have rats as pets. And so I contacted them and wrote to them and said, hey, if you're interested in rats, you might like this story. I also sent press releases to the local newspapers, and I offered to donate my royalties to a local children's hospital. So I haven't formally spent a lot of money on promoting them. It's been word of mouth. People like it and they tell somebody else. But so that's what I've done.
No, that's great. And yeah, that's brilliant, Michael. And do you have a kind of a strategy you use when you're writing as well? Do you have a kind of a strategy, like a certain amount of words a day, or what way do you do it yourself, Michael?
I don't really. I start off with the idea, the broad picture idea, but I know a lot of authors nail it down chapter by chapter, what's going to happen. I don't do that. R2-1, I wrote basically sitting on the beach in Laguna Beach, and then scribbling like crazy on a notepad. And I found that once I started, it was as if the story took over. The words were just filling my head so quickly. I was scribbling like a maniac to get it down in this, and then I'd go home at night and decipher that and type it up. And R2-2, I basically did on a cruise ship. We did a 3-week cruise through the Panama Canal and around that area. And each day I'd sit, and my wife would read a book. I'd be scribbling notes in on a night. I would then type it up. So that's so as I say, the strategy is just broad idea, and then just let it flow. Just as the characters kind of were talking to me. They were like saying, this is what's going to happen next. And sometimes I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised at what happened next. Like, well, that's
Yeah,
quite a
I
good
know.
idea. I didn't. Where did that come from? So yeah, so that's how it works.
And do you feel the art, being an artist yourself, has prompted you to go forward as a author as well, with your writing? Has that happened, Michael?
I think it's tricky, selling paintings, but you've got a kind of a formal network of galleries, and I have an online presence. I don't do all the exhibitions I used to do, but I think it is difficult to sell children's books. I'm thinking about perhaps I could contact local schools and see if they would like me to go in and talk about R2 and what he got up to, and also a little bit about rats. And they're very interesting animals once you get to know them. So I'm thinking about new ways, new strategies of. I would like to have more kids enjoy the stories. I'm not looking for the money, but I really like to have more eyes on books so that people can. And when they do read it, they like it. So that's nice.
Yeah. And yeah, that's great, Michael. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And would you like to maybe read a section of one of your books for the people that are listening and watching on YouTube as well, just to give
Uh,
people an idea, please?
sure. Oh, I never thought about that. I should have picked something up, shouldn't I?
Just a
Uh,
description or whatever, just to give people a.
Hold on. Let me see. So this is the bit where the rat sneaks into CJ's backpack in the station, and CJ doesn't know, and he goes home to his apartment, and he's in his room. I think he's going to do his homework, and we hear, "Phew, that's better." It was like a sauna in there. Another minute in your backpack, and I would have been a roasted rat. The rat gave off a loud laugh. Roasted rat, get it? I need to get my mum. Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Not yet, anyway. We need to talk, man to man. Well, rat to boy, really. And he laughed again as he climbed out of the bag and quickly scampered up the leg of CJ's desk before settling down with his back propped up against CJ's homework reading book. Talk, said CJ. You say we need to talk, but rats can't talk. Well, some can't, I agree, but what do you think I'm doing right now? Whistling a song by Taylor Swift. He eased towards his bed, sure he was dreaming, pulled back the covers, and was about to get in when the rat said, Wait, do you have any popcorn? I'm starving. Popcorn? Listen, do you have to keep repeating everything I say? A simple yes or no will do. No. No what? No, you don't have to keep repeating my words, or no, you have no popcorn. No, I have no popcorn. Well, actually, popcorn is good, but do you know what is the favorite food for rats? CJ was speechless and simply shook his head. Well, let's see. Number one is scrambled eggs, and I prefer organic, free range, but standard battery farmed eggs will do to push. Do you have any? And so it goes on. This is the rat introducing himself to CJ.
That is great. It reminds me a bit of Ratatouille. Remember that film Ratatouille years ago?
The rat loves food, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's kind of a culinary
yeah.
experience in there.
Great stuff. Well done, Michael. That's really good. And can I ask you as well, what is your biggest success going so far with your books and in being a writer? If you were to pinpoint one thing that you're very proud of as a success.
Well, the one thing I'm really proud of is the story I mentioned earlier about my
Yeah,
grandson
of course.
liking
Yeah,
it so much he took it to school. But in terms of success, you get a real kick when like, recently we have a swimming pool in part of our development, and I was in there, and this guy was with his son, and the son gravitated towards me, and he chatting and chatting, and at the end, I gave him a copy of R2, and he loved it, and his dad wrote me a really nice email, sorry, saying how much he liked it and how he took to school and told his friends at
wow,
school. So that's really nice when the word gets out there and you get some positive feedback. Um, so yeah, so I
that's
say that was it.
great. That's great story. Yeah, that's like when you get some feedback that it's brilliant, isn't it?
Right.
And I love the way you're kind of, because bullying is a big thing in all walks of life. So it's great to kind of get that
Yes.
out in one of your books. Like that's
Yes,
great.
it is, and I think a lot of kids suffer from that. And I think it's good that in the book I raise the subject and they deal with it, and I hopefully the kids can have a conversation with their parents or with their
Right. Yeah.
teachers. And if any kids are suffering, it'll give them the confidence to say, you know what, I want to talk about this. So as I say, the premise of R2 is all about doing some good, helping somebody in need. And so if I do book three, which I probably will do, I'll continue along that theme of helping others.
Right, Michael. That's really good. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that with me and with everybody. So I just want to ask you as well. What ways have you found? I know you mentioned a few earlier on of
Mhm.
promoting your work, your books. What would you say are the main ones you've worked on that's helped you as an author and an artist?
Well, what I haven't, first I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't spent lots and lots of money on ad campaigns, and basically I'm not sure how to do that. And I think as a self-published author, you have to be a little bit careful that you're not pouring money down the drain. But I think my best success really has been talking to people about it and giving them the book, and then they pass on the word to other people. But I know a lot of people do book fairs. I haven't done that, I'm sorry to say, and I haven't spent money on advertising campaigns. But I think if you know how to do that and you can do it wisely, then all the power to you. But that's not something I've done yet.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely great. I know because there is different avenues that you can go to. Just because it's good to kind of people that are listening to this might get something off, like even what you've just mentioned there by word of mouth is very,
Yes,
very, very important.
yes.
Mm.
I've used the social media where I can, but I even did at my age, I've even done some videos on TikTok.
Right?
And
Yeah.
I got quite a few. I got quite a few hits, and I did that where you link it to various book groups within TikTok,
Right.
and I got some nice comments. I don't think it resulted in sales, but I'm willing to try anything. If
Yeah. Yeah. Great stuff. No, the best of luck with that. That's great. And where can people get their hands on your books as well? I know they're probably on Amazon and
Yeah, the books are available on Amazon. Yes,
yeah,
that's where you can get the books on Amazon, and they do the paperback that I've just shown you, and they also do the digital version.
yeah,
So yeah, they're available, and I hope you'll listen and or read and enjoy.
yeah, great. And are they in any bookshops? Have you tried to get them in any bookshops or libraries?
I've tried I did try Barnes and Noble, and they politely told me that they weren't interested in a self-published book, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Um, so I haven't had much success with that. No.
Right. Yeah, because libraries can be an avenue and bookshops. Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I should contact the local libraries. I know that. I'll do that next.
yeah, very good. And what? So that's leads on nicely. So what's next for yourself? You mentioned um that is uh
For my next book, I do
yeah,
have an idea for another book which is totally different, but I'll not get into that because I'm still kind of just
yeah,
fiddling around in my head on the ideas. But I am going to do an R2-3, and as I said earlier, I'm just looking for I need the main building block of what it is that R2 and CJ are going to get up to next. And
yeah.
I keep thinking about it. And I haven't as yet come up with something which appeals to me and motivates me, but it will. And then I'll get that done and introduce that one also.
Yeah, no, great stuff. The best luck with it. And yeah, like, is anything you'd like to promote that's coming up shortly? Like, are you doing any readings in bookshops or anything like that? Is that something you'd like to let people know about?
I've done a couple, and in bookshops, done a couple of those, and they were quite successful. But again, I think it's kind of chicken and the egg. If you haven't got the following, it's
Yeah,
hard to do something like that because obviously they want a big audience, and when you're starting out, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm doing it sort of
yeah,
slowly, day by day. Um, I don't have a major formal marketing plan to get these books out there, and maybe I should.
yeah. Oh no, great. No, just thought that it'd be handy just to, if you have anything that you'd like to share, like let's say your TikTok channel. If you want
Yes.
to send me any links to all your social medias and
Yes.
your links to your books on Amazon, I'll
Yes.
put the show
Yeah,
notes for you.
I can send you the links definitely, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'll do that. I think I think the social media is obviously the way to go. To get a following, and then they will follow you, and they kind of wait for your next book. And I think you've got to keep looking for something interesting to engage with that audience. You can't just keep saying, "Hey, this is the book. Please go and buy it." You have to somehow keep the interest going, and think of valid things to say for them to be interested in what you're doing. And so, for example, when I do decide on R23, then that'll be something I will start putting out there as a teaser. This is the next book. This is the idea. And one of the things that I haven't done, which I wish I had done, I wish I had sent out the copy as I was writing it to a group of people to get feedback. And I think I will do that. These kind of early reader groups.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, but now I am. And I think what I'll do is I will reach out to people who would be willing to help and just read it and say, you know what, here's some feedback, here's some positives, here's some negatives. And I think you could build a group so that when you do launch, you're not launching from a flat base, you're launching from a position where you've already got a readership of interested people.
That's great advice for anybody that's listening, Michael. That's brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Great stuff. Thanks a lot for sharing that with everybody. So I really appreciate you coming on today, Michael, to the
Well,
podcast.
thank you.
And I
Thank
wish
you.
you all of success going forward with everything you do as well with all your books, R21 and that. So R2 and coming out R23 and hopefully soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you check out all the links. I'm going to share them on the show notes now. So Michael, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, Mark, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that we haven't talked about your books, but I'm going to go and check them out. And I hope that they are very successful for you. And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks very much. So that
Take care.
thanks a lot for joining me on the podcast today, Michael, and thanks everyone for listening to Mark's motivational podcast, Another Author's Tuesday. Join me again next week for another author. Take care. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Mark here. Thank you for watching another episode of my Author's Tuesday podcast. I recently published a book of children's stories called The Adventures of Larry Lamppost and Friends. The book began life as bedtime stories I wrote for my own children. If you'd like to purchase my book, follow the link in the description box below. By buying my book, you are also supporting my podcast series for authors, which is giving a voice to writers in Ireland and across the world.